She pretends she cannot hear me when I tell her do a button up, it's cold, or that the telly's on too loud. It's like her ears need washing out. Have you got tatty fields growing in those lugs? But she doesn't get the joke. She just pretends she cannot hear me. It's as if I never even spoke. I'm like a ghost communicating through an astral plane. Now she's aware of my existence, but it's not quite the same, because she pretends she cannot hear me when I explain Albert's not my name. You see, Albert was my granddad, and he's long since passed away. She pretends she cannot hear me, but I'm still sad when I leave. Neve's favourite number was 7, because when she owned it, it spelled out her name backwards. Now Neve was 7 when she told me this, a princess in the kingdom of her own imagination, hopscotch skipping over 7 squared off numbers she'd scrawled upon the pavement. Whistling wet, wet, wet's good night girl, whilst white chalk dust scuffed the soles of her size 7 shoes that I'd bought for her earlier that morning. 7 candles on Snow White's icing face. 20 years later, Neve still sings enthusiastically along to the songs of Wet, Wet, Wet. Occasionally cascades over pavements in tiny hopscotch steps. Innocently bending at a 7, captured in a square to retrieve her skim stone, with a naivety that she'll never now outgrow. Neve will never get to be 8. There'll always be 1 candle missing from her birthday cake. August 31st, 1997 is a day synonymous with many people in the UK as the day Princess Diana unfortunately died. To me and anyone my age from Ballymow, it's the day that we lost a very good friend. So, as this is a theme of memory and remembering, I'm going to remember Dan Scoff. This is August 31st, 1997. You did not go gentle into that good night, just as summer did not slip softly into autumn. Instead it ended with the smash of a Mercedes in a tunnel in La Alma, Paris. The Queen of Hearts trumped by a spaded ace. But as the country stretched and yawned, wiped away sand and slowly woke, we longed to sleep. We'd already drank our share of condolence tea, watched the news enough times on repeat. Princess Diana died tragically in the early hours. A docile tone announcer read, though his words barely echoed in my head. For hidden within the stillness of the sleeping Ballymow streets, a large tree branch swings and creaks under the weight of your frame. Breathless. The announcer would never read your name, but we will miss you all the same. My friend is lost, as my nation mourns. We had to put your funeral back, as the vicar wanted to see her service, which he watched with over 5 million. Candle in the Wind sang by a weeping Elton John. Well, we had a tape deck playing yesterday, and I wished all my troubles were so far away. I'm going to finish with a poem about the Ballymow Working Man's Club, which was my local pub for far too many years. And anyone who's ever spent a lot of time drinking in a small town's working man's club will probably be aware of this amazing ability that the locals have to alienate anyone who's not regular. This is called Are You Local? Oh, are you local? The sign on the door says push, but it always sticks. You've got to pull it till it clicks before you can push it open. Now only a local would know this, and we have laughed off our tits many nights watching strangers struggling to enter. Fucking tourists. I think I know what to expect as I walk into the bar. The floor still falters with familiarity and greets me with its sad hello as I move upon it, heel to toe. You see this room, it's framed into my conscience. It's like a photograph never changing, only slightly fading, whilst everything else, including them, ages. Yellow stains from friendly fingers form tides of waves wafting nicotine in a draft that is blowing my way. As familiar faces form smiles with tongues that are forced to utter small talk without thought. Those standard greetings without feelings, the "How you been? It's been how long? How are you keeping?" Now these questions are cast off without really wanting an answer. For I know to answer would be disaster. No one is interested, let alone fucking care. No cat has ever died from curiosity around here. There's a difference in this familiar. An uncertainty in the certain. A smile that's more a smirk. A slight curl upon once friendly lips that a stranger could easily miss if it didn't feel like a tightening fist enclosing as it grips. And then it hits. The reason for my social leprosy. I see from Facebook you're doing that poetry. Now it's neither statement nor question. This is a dissection of character, a separating pronoun forcing me back. I am defined by the word that, ostracised, the other, outcast. I have become that. Poetry! But my hand, which grasps around this cheap club pint glass, it's still the same hand which clinked glass with theirs on birthdays. Shook palm with all the bests on New Year's Day. You see, nothing's really changed. My views are still the same. Yeah, I do abbreviate my middle name. It's now Asa Jane, and not their Asa James. But still I try and change the subject by talking about the match, but there is no coming back. My identity is being hacked. It would appear my opinion is no longer solid. Because I've acquired the ability to write sonnets. Sign on the door says Paul. But it always sticks. You've got to push it till it clicks before you can pull it open and leave.
Yay! It's the J. Maddison!